Hello everyone, I'm Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor. Welcome to my channel. This is your first time seeing or viewing one of my videos, of course, subscribe to my channel. We got lots of good stuff here. And if you're returning, you might as well just go ahead and subscribe to my channel because you know you like me. I'm just kidding. Anyway, today we're going to talk about a topic that you may or may not be familiar with. It's called emotional intelligence, something that's really, really vital for all of us to navigate emotions and even relationships. So emotional intelligence is very vital for us to navigate our relationship with ourselves, know how to take care of ourselves. Like, emotional intelligence is actually needed for us to do this thing called self-care that we talk a lot about. And if you haven't watched my videos on self-care, you should go ahead and do that too. But anyway, let's jump in. So let's talk about what emotional intelligence is. It's how we manage, adapt, and understand and use and handle emotions. Point and simple, right? Pretty plain, pretty self-explanatory, right? And so there are 5 different areas of emotional intelligence, and we're going to take a look at all of them. So the first one is self-awareness. And you will hear therapists say, like, be present or mindful. This is what we're talking about, being aware of yourself, paying attention to yourself. Sometimes we don't pay attention to us and our emotions and what we're feeling or how certain things are making us feel, especially if we have grown into the habit of numbing our emotions or pushing them back and avoiding them. We typically do that just because our brains, especially if it's like a negative emotion, doesn't really want to attend to that. So we'll avoid it. And that kind of gets in the way of us being aware of how we feel. And so that's what self-awareness is all about. It's like it's the building block of us really paying attention to our emotions so we know what to do in order to navigate them, right? So that's the first step. Second one is empathy. And empathy is really, as just simply defined, as like the ability to understand and share your feelings with, even it could be with yourself, whether you're like journaling or with someone else. So you have to be able to have like the language and understanding to share feelings and to express yourself. That's a skill. That's really a skill. And we're noticing more and more how difficult that can be if you haven't seen that, modeled for you. If you're not used to engaging your voice, it can be hard to have empathy and show up for someone, because if you are not aware of your feelings, if you're pushing them to the back burner, then you most likely would tell someone else to do the same thing. Like, suck it up. You've heard that language before, right? And so empathy is being present with your feelings and then finding language to express them. All right, number 3. Number 3 is motivation. That's our push. And there's 2 different types of motivation. There's intrinsic motivation and external motivation. 2 different types of motivation. And so external motivation is when outside influences are pushing and motivating your behavior. Like, I got to get to work on time because I don't want to get fired. Right? That's an external motivation. You're trying to avoid an external, something outside of you, consequence, right? And so intrinsic motivation is like when you yourself, your drive, how you want to show up in the world is motivating your behavior. Yes, 2 different types of motivation, and you can see that sometimes in others too, and how what motivates their behavior, and saying like, okay, I notice you're pretty reactive. You know, if you notice someone's maybe more proactive and they're more reactive, they're like, oh, okay, I'm trying to avoid this negative consequence. Oh my goodness, I'm about to fail, so let me hurry up and get these grades in or do well in my schooling when someone who's intrinsically motivated is always working to do well and to stay on task. Okay. Self-regulation. Number 4, self-regulation. Whew. This is a challenge. Regulating your emotions. So we need those kind of first building blocks to help us manage our emotions. So we need to be aware. We need to be aware of ourselves. We need to have the language to express our feelings. Regulating emotions, sometimes what we've experienced, and even through this pandemic, our emotions have been really big, and where regulation becomes a difficult challenge is when we don't have control. Like, we can't change what's bugging us. So like, if during this pandemic, like, there were so many changes that were happening, so many restrictions, right? And we didn't have any control over it, and we just had to deal with it. And that was distressing. That was very distressing. And so we had to find ways to regulate our emotions, manage ourselves, coping with our emotions, attending to our emotions, expressing our emotions, soothing our emotions without making it worse. Now, some people did do things that were maladaptive. Maladaptive would be things that cause harm, that would make it worse. They were using substances and maybe even participating in some risky behaviors and things of that nature due to the pandemic, as a way to soothe the pain and the stress of the pandemic. Just using this as an example. And so we have to find ways. The trick is to find ways to truly soothe ourselves and to manage distress, because let's be honest, life is distressing at times, and we have to find ways to take care of ourselves, and that's where self-care is so important. Number 5, emotional intelligence. The fifth element is social skills. Whew. The ability to navigate in social settings, to interact with people in a healthy way. We are struggling in that area. When I say we, I mean like the humans. We are. But we're working on it. We're working on it. As social media has become more prevalent, social skills has become on the back burner, or even become optional for some. And so really building the skill to have emotional intelligence, to know how to navigate in social settings, is truly a skill that you need in order to function in the workplace, to function in relationships, and even function in your relationship with yourself. It's number 1, top priority. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship. Why? Because it's the longest relationship you're going to have. And so you need to nurture that. So these are the 5 areas of emotional intelligence: how to handle, manage, and cope with your emotions and understand them. Hope this has been helpful, and hopefully you can build those blocks for yourself. Of course, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.